Yeah, all right. Welcome back to KM6 LYW Radio, the show about amateur radio or ham radio, reimagining radio in the information age. Hey, today we're shaking up the format a little bit. We've got a wider lens here, and we're going to do a day in the life of a ham radio operator. Yeah, you got your ham radio license, but now what do you do? Well, I'm going to show you what I usually do every day on amateur radio, this time on KM6 LYW Radio. All right, welcome back. Still getting free bumper music. Yeah, a guitar is a part of the morning ritual, actually. None of this is going to make sense unless we introduce you to the KM6LYW Radio Ham Shack. I know a lot of this is hard to see. I've got another camera. We'll go over it. But just to get started, this is just a pile of ham radio stuff that I've acquired over the years, honestly. So just starting out for the HF desk, we've got a Yaesu FT710. We've got an SDR Play device, that's software-defined radio device. Pretty cool. An ICOM 705, which is a QRP rig for HF and VHF. Of course, we've got a Raspberry Pi 5 here that we do all of our DigiPi development on. So that's always plugged into that ICOM 705. And I dug an old monitor out of the back of the closet here that actually plugs into the Yaesu FT710. So you're actually seeing the screen for the HF rig right here. It's pretty cool you can do this. This actually has a DVI input, which for some reason Yaesu chose to use DVI. We've got way in the back over here, we've got a Samlex 35 amp power supply that's going to drive, well, just about everything here. Plus, I've got some solar batteries in the back. And my daughter got me this cool, I don't know, what do you call these? Reflective light up display things that has my call sign on it. So when you turn the power supply on, that lights up. It's pretty cool. What's even better is it has a touch sensor on it. So on 80 meters, for some reason, it sets the touch sensor off and it starts flashing and changing colors on 80 when I start transmitting on 80 meters. So double win right there. Hey, on the VHF desk over here, I know it's even harder to see. We've got the FTM 400 right here. We've got a Yaesu 2980. That's our packet station. And we've got a Raspberry Pi 02 wireless stuck to the wall. And it's usually plugged into one of these two radios here. We've got the HT over here charging and then a radio switch. Normally people call this, I'm going to get out of the way, an antenna switch, but it's a radio switch because we've got a Diamond X200 on the roof, and that switch allows me to switch 4 different radios to that antenna. So that's pretty cool. So 1 antenna, 4 radios, 1 switch, kind of a cool deal. Tangled up in the oak trees out back, there is a fan dipole, and I've got some RG58 running out there, maybe 100 feet or so out to a fan dipole with a current balun. So I'm resonant on 20, 30, a very small portion of 80, and I've got legs for 40 as well. And honestly, I pretty much get almost all HF bands with that combination. I don't know why. Maybe the factors and the multiples of the frequencies. But I can tune up without an external antenna tuner. There's no external antenna tuner here. I can tune up on just about everything just with that fan dipole. And full disclosure, the 80 meter legs actually have coils at the 30 meter location. So that's how I'm getting 30. I'm getting 30 and 80 on one set of legs. So anyways, it's just a bunch of Home Depot parts that I've cobbled together. And it works. Anyways, the HF antenna works. So that is an introduction to the Ham Shack, and I'm going to go over a day in the life of how I use all this stuff almost daily, every day using amateur radio. So when I get up in the morning, it's really about procrastination. Coffee and procrastination, avoiding doing work. Yes, I still have an income generation activity. So honestly, the first thing I do radio-wise isn't actually ham radio. I listen to broadcast radio because I get up pretty early and none of the repeaters are really active. So I have an SDR Play device. They're a little expensive at $150, and they're a little tricky to get working, but I have a Linux workstation here, works on the Mac as well. And honestly, I listen to
the hospital first. So the hospital wants you for 2 or 3 or 4 days.
And I sometimes listen to music, but a lot of times it's talk radio like that. I did talk radio right now just so I don't get a copyright strike with music. But I will listen to broadcast FM in the mornings just to get the news, weather, all that stuff. And that is using a SDR antenna that's in the attic. I did a whole video on a discone antenna that's actually in the attic that picks up a really broad range of frequencies, including FM broadcast, which is
$1,000. What's that? That's nothing.
right here.
Well, that's what a CARE is
Yeah, you tell them. So this is SDR++ is the software, and it works with a broad variety of SDR, software-defined radio. So SDR++ in the morning, definitely listen to broadcast drinking coffee. And here in Northern California, we have something we call the Coffee Break Net. It's on the club repeater W6EK. It goes from 7:30 to 10 a.m. So if you're in Northern California, go ahead and check into the Coffee Break Net. It's also set up on All-Star Link, every internet connectivity method you can think of as well. So W6EK is 7:30 a.m. I use the VHF desk over here, the Yaesu FTM 400 for that. So yeah, always check into the Coffee Break Net. Hey, good morning, Orion and the Net. Boy, you guys sound great here in cool where it's actually cold. Hey, I'm actually doing a YouTube video. You know, guy, I'm doing the YouTube stuff all the time. So I'm doing a day in the life of ham radio operators. So one of the things that we always do here, of course, is the Coffee Break Net every morning on W6EK. So you guys are famous right now. I'm actually doing a video recording of this. Go ahead.
Your show there. Day in the life of a ham radio operator. That sounds like a lot of fun. And you guys, you, Craig, and your group there on DigiPi, you guys do a lot of great stuff. So looking forward to seeing us on your YouTube channel. So, all right, Craig, you have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you next time on the Coffee Break Net. KM6LYW AI6JB73.
Yeah, 7.3 Orion, KM6LYW. And if I feel like operating HF radios, so that's anything that isn't VHF or UHF, on the Yaesu FT710 here, you want to check propagation, right? And everyone has their own way to see if radio signals are actually propagating globally, and if so, to what extent. A lot of people will go to QRZ, which makes good sense. You can get the band conditions here. I try and look for the more green, the better, and which bands are actually are coming around right now. And there's a solar flare index. It's also kind of important. Where is it? It's up here. It's this 166 right now. So anything over 120 is usually pretty good. So 166 is pretty darn good in this stage in the solar cycle, which is in fact good. I don't use this that much. I honestly go out to winlink.org and go to the propagation map. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Winlink.org, and then click on tools and then prop map. And these are actual connections. These aren't theoretical. This is empirical observations of people making Winlink connections. In this case, if I see connections from the United States as to Australia and or Europe, I know we've got good propagation today, and we see that here. So if HF propagation looks like it's doing pretty good, I'm going to use HF to check into another net. We call it the Winlink net. And of course, this is open to everybody. So let's check into the Winlink net. And we're going to use the ICOM FT710 here. And DigiPi is our amateur radio data transceiver. DigiPi.org for more information on that. So let's check into the Winlink net using HF radio. Okay, so I'm going to point any web browser at DigiPi. This is a Raspberry Pi 02 wireless here. It's about 18 bucks. DigiPi.org if you want this software that runs on this. And it's connected via USB to the Yaesu FT710 here, which you can see is getting a lot of noise from my lights. But the first thing I'm going to do is turn on the RDOT modem. This is the modem we use for intercontinental email, winlink.org email. Now that modem is on, you can see DigiPi is telling us it's an RDOP mode. I'm also going to click Pat Winlink email client. This is the web interface for your email. And I'll click down here to the actual interface, and you can see I got my inbox, my outbox. I've got, you can see I've checked into the Winlink net already a couple of times here, but I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do action, connect, and I'm going to go down to RMS, show RMS list. And there's a station in Utah that's pretty good right now. And I'm in California. So KD6 OAT on 30 meters. Cool. I'm just going to say go ahead and connect to him. And while I'm connecting, I'm going to compose an email. And this could be a regular email address or a call sign. And the call sign in this case is called NCAL-WLink-NET. And the subject is going to be WinLink-NET. And the check-in string is going to look like this. And it's who I am and where I checked in from, KD6 OAT. That's who my station is. I'm on 30 meters. I'm going to hit post. All right, so we did it. So we've actually, we've got some feedback here. It says RMS Tri-Mode, welcome to the KD6 Oat Tri-Mode server in Sandy, Utah. This is what it sounds like, by the way. Come on. There he is. So you can't really hear me transmitting, but we can hear him coming back. It's like a whistling noise, depending on how the propagation is. So it'll be a really narrow signal when there's bad proposition, and a wide, more higher bandwidth signal when proposition is good. So we are still talking to the Utah station, and there's a little space between the acknowledgments, which means he's not necessarily getting all of my packets. So this is kind of a sketchy connection, but like I said, it'll usually degrade gracefully. So hopefully we'll get to the point where we're transmitting. We're watching the log down here. I know it's hard to read because I've got this zoomed in. So high. That's why these fonts are overlapping. Normally it looks cool. As you can see up here, it says sending, and then it has a message number. We are at 0%. Still sending. It takes a while, right? This is like less than dial-up speeds, but you think about it, this is like almost intercontinental communication, right? So we're at 30% sent. If we go to our outbox, we can actually see the email. This is all it's sending, right? This is one line to a call sign called ncalwlinknet. And again, that could be a regular email. So I like to do this every morning. So a lot of times this will be via Australia, if I can, like when I'm gray lining. But right now, California, Utah is a really solid connection on 30 meters during the day. It's about 10 a.m. here in California. So there's the email actually sent, 100%. It's loud. All right, I'm not going to make you endure that, but we did it. We actually sent an email over HF. Again, part of the morning ritual. I do this at least once a week because that's how long the net is open. Another thing I like to do as part of the morning ritual is check in on the Cool node. This is an AX.25 node and Winlink email server. It's up on the hill. It's about 100 yards away. I can actually hit it with Wi-Fi here because I have an external USB Wi-Fi adapter. You can actually see the antennas here. Under this solar panel is a DigiPi, of course, and a Yaesu 2980 and a battery. This thing is totally autonomous, and I can operate it from the house here over Wi-Fi and do all my radio operations from here in the shack with that antenna way up on a hill with great propagation. So this is the Cool node, and of course I point my web browser at the DigiPi that's buried under that solar panel, and then I can do all my operations here. One thing I like to do is the AX.25 like keyboard to keyboard stuff. I can come down here and run LinPack. And LinPack allows you to connect to other AX.25 nodes and talk to them. Let me see if I can zoom this in a little bit for you guys. You can hit F10 here just to see what's going on the channel, see what guys are talking about. It's just kind of a conscious stream of what's going on in the channel. Or you can press F1 and say literally like connect, I don't know, to K John. I already did this once here. And it's literally going to establish a keyboard to keyboard connection to the K John node. And you'll see it'll say connected to K John. Sometimes you have to hit enter or something to get it to wake up. But, I can hit N space L to get a node listing. This is kind of like old school bulletin board stuff. So these are all the guys who have been online recently and the dates, other stations that were heard. So nodes heard, long listing, something like that. So you can totally check in there, or I can connect to another guy running LinPack and we can talk keyboard to keyboard and it'll just be us. I only see their traffic. But in the big picture, you can use the unproto modes here, which is where we just see the broadcasts and everyone talking like in a frenzy here. It's kind of like reading the Matrix, After a while, you can kind of read this, and it's a little more obvious. And you already know this is a Winlink email server. We're not going to go into that because we've already done a lot of Winlink email. But this is also a bulletin board. So the AX.25 node is a BBS. So we go to AX call here, and we'll leave. And I'm going to connect to my node. And this is just kind of a loopback interface. I'm not technically on RF, but this is what someone connecting with LinPack to Cool would see. They'd see, enter chat room or email, play Zork, or we got Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on there. And I can say chat, and it will instantly enter me into a chat room. This is almost exactly like IRC chat. In fact, if you want to do it over a console, I can actually SSH into Cool. This is over Wi-Fi, and then I can run, this is actually running Converse, and so I do this in the morning as well. So I run Converse -L KM6 LIW-PC, and you'll notice it logged me into the bulletin board in a shell. So this is like you can use PuTTY here, and what I do is when I minimize this, I have it beep when there's activity. So if someone joins the chat room, I can talk to them and say, hey, this is me on DigiPi cool node, right? And then everyone will see that on RF. So it's like IRC chat using amateur radio. So that's what the cool node does. So I leave this up pretty much all day. So if you log into the bulletin board and specifically into the chat room, this is going to beep and we can talk and a bunch of people can join this. It's a lot of fun, the chat rooms on amateur radio. If you liked IRC chat, it's been around forever, you're going to like this. So I don't always operate amateur radio, but when I don't, I always try and leave an iGate up here on an APRS frequency. So we've got a Raspberry Pi 5 with running the digipi.org software and the ICOM 705 on APRS duty. A lot of the times, just to save power, I'll just run it on the Yaesu 2980 over here and a little Raspberry Pi Zero stuck to the wall. So when I walk out of the shack, I usually flip that on and flip that antenna switch over to the high gain antenna on the roof. And a lot of the times I will be on APRS web chat, which is also part of the DigiPi. You just turn on the TNC and iGate here and you go to APRS web chat. It brings up this interface, and this is me harassing someone via the International Space Station, but you can do other cool stuff like send messages to WXBot, and you can enter your zip code 95614, and you're going to watch the DigiPi over here. It's going to go nuts as I send that message out on APRS packet radio, and I should get a reply from the WXBot virtual radio call sign. Just got that in on RF, and yeah, it's going to be, today is going to be sunny with the high of 71. Guys, if you want to do this and everything we did today, go out to digipi.org and get the software for a Raspberry Pi. This is something I give to patrons of the channel. As you can see on the scroll over here, the support is overwhelming, so I really wanted to give something tangible back to you guys for supporters of the channel. So patrons get access to the DigiPi SD card image. It does so much more than we talked about just today. Not only can we do all the packet radio and chatting modes, but it'll do like the HF modes that you like WSJTX. It actually displays in your web browser. That could be on your tablet or your phone. So here's WSJTX running on the DigiPi and displaying on your phone. And of course, we got FL Digi. What is that here? Yeah, and this is actually doing CW, JS8 call. All of that stuff displays in your web browser. So you don't need a keyboard and a monitor and a PC to operate data modes on your rig. You just get a Raspberry Pi, the DigiPi SD card image, plug it into your radio. We got a lot of different radio interfaces and just start operating data modes. It's just tons of fun. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. This has been a lot of fun. This is how I operate radio. There's a lot of other ways you can do this stuff. I just want to make sure you guys are aware of the cool things we can do, and let me know in the comments what you guys, what's your daily ham life like today in amateur radio. Hey, my name is Craig. Amateur radio call sign KM6LYW. I'm in California and I'm clear.